Okay, this is for claim number 0795848191. Today's date is July 21st, 2025. We are on the south elevation of this insured's home. What the goal of this video today is we are looking for explanation of how this shingle in question here this shingle in blue with blue chalk on it. We need explanation of how this is thermal cracking. I want to get an overview. We can see obvious creasing in the shingles. What I'm going to do here now, this we agree upon. This shingle here, you can see the split right here. This is a separate shingle. We'll agree that this is age, wear and tear, and possible thermal cracking. We will agree upon that. However, on this shingle, you can see an obvious crease throughout the shingle, the entirety of the shingle. We can see the shingle, as you can see, flexes and creases tremendously at where the granule loss is gone. Creases, you can see a crease there. Let's see. That is from flapping in the wind. So let's see this one here. A big thing that will help determine between thermal cracking and actual wind damage or storm damage is if the adhesive strip on the shingle itself has failed, it's more likely to be wind damage. If the strip adhesive has not failed, but you see creasing like that, then it's more likely to be thermal cracking. So as you can see here, this shingle is still, the strip adhesive is still intact. This shingle is adhered to the roofing system, but it still has, that's not a crease, but that is thermal cracking. And this is a perfect example of thermal cracking compared to wind damage. Again, I'm getting overviews. Here we go. In orange, we will call this thermal cracking. Wind damage. So what we need is explanation, as we're giving you video documentation of all, this has all the signs of standard wind damage and no signs of thermal cracking. This is wind damage, like textbook wind damage. Again, I want to show you underneath here that the tar adhesive has failed. The tar adhesive has failed. There are exposed nails. There's no mat transfer anywhere on this roofing, on this shingle. It's an obvious crease in the shingle itself. You can see creasing. That's creasing. That's creasing. These tabs have been compromised. These tabs actually have creases on them as well from flapping in the wind. As you can see, barely with that shingle, it has severe, that's wind damage. This is wind damage. This whole shingle is wind damage. This in orange, we can call this thermal cracking. That is not thermal cracking. That is not thermal cracking. This down here, right here, on this shingle, where you have some granule missing right there, some fiberglass exposed, that's thermal cracking. How do you know? Because this shingle is still adhered to the roofing system, but it has what you're arguing is a crease. Technically, that would, from photos, from looking behind a desk, you could try to argue a crease, but it's not a crease. It's thermal cracking. The strip adhesive is still intact. This is not thermal cracking. This is textbook wind damage. And if you guys are if Allstate is going to stand by their positioning, we need documentation, or we need an engineer out here to prove that this is thermal cracking and not wind damage. What I'm gonna do here is I'm showing you the characteristics of that shingle. I'm gonna go over here and show some characteristics of some shingles that got approved for. Here we go. There's a shingle right there. This shingle has been approved for wind damage, and the insured demands explanation of why this is thermal cracking, or this is wind damage. Let's see, the shingle here, and blue, and blue. We need explanation why this is wind damage and the other shingle is not, when the characteristics are the same. There's creasing throughout the shingle. The strip adhesive has failed on this shingle. There's no mat transfer on this shingle. The nails are exposed. You can see an obvious. The insured is owed an explanation of how Allstate has come to the determination that this is wind damage, even though all characteristics are the same as the shingle on the south elevation. But the south elevation shingle is considered thermal cracking. You can see obvious creases in the shingle right there when this was flapping in the wind. Flapping in the wind, obvious crease, same characteristics. Obvious crease throughout the entire shingle itself, but the other one is considered thermal cracking, and we need explanations of how or why. Go down here. This is the east elevation for claim number 079-584-8191. Today is July 21st, 2025. We need this is a repair test that we did. This is the cause of the repair. This is a couple days later. It's gotten worse now that it has rained. Shows obvious granule loss from a failed attempt to repair. This has been open coverage for wind damage. We need explanation on why this is considered wind damage and the shingle on the south elevation is considered thermal cracking when all characteristics are the same. Obvious creasing throughout the shingle. Creasing here. Strip adhesive failure throughout the shingle. No mat transfer on the shingle. Strip adhesive failure. This is textbook wind damage, and so is the shingle on the south elevation. And we need reasoning on how this shingle is considered wind damage and the shingle on the south elevation is considered thermal cracking when all characteristics are the same. We expect to receive documentation and supported documentation with evidence that proves or how Allstate has come to the determination that the shingle on the south elevation is thermal cracking and not wind damage when all characteristics of these shingles are the exact same.